Hello, my dear audiences, my lovely friends, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the East West Show. Jack Chow on the East West Show with the G&E TV. At G&E TV, we pay lots of attention about the local politics. However, as a matter of fact, local politics is not kind of the same as federal politics. You're not making a speech at the UN. You are not making a decision to attack Iraq, stuff like that, waging wars or doing whatever stuff internationally. You're talking about exactly how are we going to make our home better, something like that, right? That is local politics. Anything, everything. I recall that there's one time I had this conversation with Stephen Sham of Monterey Park. And I was asking him, what is local politics? Asking him to make a definition. He says, well, local politics might be a tree in front of your house, or gutter behind your house, or something like that. Okay. So those are local politics. Today, in talking about local politics, I had my good friend from Aliso Viejo, Mayor of Aliso Viejo, Mr. David Harrington, with me today. Thank you for coming. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks for having me back.
Very good. Last time when I had him, it was a talk totally on the homeless issue along the Santa Ana River Trail, which was a very nice discussion, and it looks that the feedback is so good. And some friends send me emails, and even those who knows my cell phone number.
Your secret
even
cell
call
phone number?
Me. Yeah. Because this is the public. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's public information. All right. And I have no secrecy myself,
Right.
no privacy myself. Yeah. And they wanted to learn the campaign site of my friend, Mr. Harrington. And he is now the candidate for Orange County Sheriff. Orange County Sheriff Department for the sheriff. So I believe he is the one. And by talking to him last time over the homeless issue, I started to have the feeling that we need to talk, right? So welcome to the show. Welcome
Thank you, Jack.
back to the show. However, let's talk about your campaign. Right.
Absolutely. So you mentioned local politics and what local politics is. So what local politics is make sure that your roads are smooth, no potholes in your roads. We make sure that your police and fire are paid for so that they can respond to any emergency that you might have. And really the big responsibility that we have is we need to make sure that your local tax money is spent appropriately and efficiently. That's really our job at the local
Very
level.
good, very good. That's quite a simple definition, because it's only 3 sentences. But on the other hand, it is so profound. It is almost everything.
It is everything. We need to make sure that we're not relying on government, that we're kind of relying on ourselves to take care of ourselves. You have to be industrious and not rely on government. When you rely on government too much, it gets too big. When it gets too big, it costs too much. When it gets too big, it gets inefficient.
All right.
So that it is simple. We need to get back to some more simple processes, I think, in local government, in all government really, but certainly at the local level, we need to lead the way.
All right, very good. So, overall picture, how big is the territory or jurisdictions of or number of cities that is under the jurisdiction of Orange County Sheriff Department?
So the Orange County Sheriff's Department is the chief law enforcement agency in the County of Orange. There are 34 cities, approximately 3 million plus residents in the county, and the Sheriff's Department itself is responsible for all unincorporated area and 13 contract cities.
I see.
Including my city of Aliso Viejo.
Oh, I see.
So we contract with the Sheriff's Department for law enforcement.
I see. How many police officers are there in the
So there's
department?
approximately 2,000 sworn. The agency itself is about 3,800 people overall. It's a pretty big agency.
I see. So, all right, very good. And they represent the 3 million something plus of population.
Correct.
Right.
Of the entire county.
Of the entire county.
We don't patrol the entire county, but that's how large Orange County is.
I see. All right. Okay, good. So, and you've been there for, the department for 28 and a half years.
Yeah,
right?
I was. I worked at the department for almost 29 years. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good. Well, almost 29 years. And the last time when you were there, you were here. We were talking about your experiences with the department, starting that point on. You almost took all kinds of jobs, all kinds of job duties within the department. Can you let my audiences know once again, please?
Sure. So I started in 1985. That's when I. 1985. That's when I hired on. So I started after the academy. Started in the jail. I did 2 years, 1 month, 13 days at the Central Men's Jail. I went to patrol.
Patrol.
Jail. Then I transferred to patrol. I did 6 years in patrol. I was a field training officer in patrol, which means I taught the new guys coming out of the jail to do the job. After 6 years in patrol, I promoted to investigator. So as an investigator, I worked economic crimes, which is fraud cases.
Money laundering stuff.
That type of deal. I worked fugitive warrants, which means I just went out and looked for people who were wanted. Fugitives from justice, that's what I did. I worked sex crimes for a little bit, and then I worked property crimes. So all told, I did in 6 years in investigations. Then I promoted to sergeant. So everybody who promotes at that rank goes back to the jail. So I went back to jail for about a year and a half, and then went back to patrol. I was transferred back to patrol. And
then this time you were a supervisor of patrol.
So
right?
now I'm a supervisor.
Yeah, supervisor of patrol.
So I had various size of crews. So I did patrol. I like to say operations. Operations is patrol. It's the same type deal. So about 14 years at that level. Wow. So I had details. I was in charge of details, directed enforcement details, field training officer program. I was in charge of the field training officer program everywhere I went. Because I believe in that training is the most important thing. Toward the end of my career, about the last 5 years or so, I did a lot of administrative work. I was also in charge of investigative detail. And then I retired in 2013. On my birthday, actually.
Oh,
4 years ago yesterday.
Very good, very good. As a sergeant on the job for that many years, and with that kind of experience going almost every corner of the room, and you might have the first-hand information about Orange County Sheriff Department, right?
Yes.
So within the Orange County Sheriff Department, talking about status quo, what are the parts that make you happy or proud of? What are the parts that you are not satisfied that you want to make a change, please?
Well, that's a great question, Jack. Thank you for that. So I'm really proud of the men and women who put that uniform on every single day, because it's not easy when you're not given the leadership that you deserve to go to work every day and still perform at the high level that they perform
You're
at.
right.
And they really do a wonderful job.
Everybody might have a bad day.
Some people have a bad day. But the men and women who put that uniform on every day, I'm super proud of them that they come to work every day. It's very heartwarming. It gives you inspiration. It gives you hope, because they really want to do the job, they want to do a good job, and they deserve better from their leadership. And that would be the part that I'm not impressed with, and I'm not happy with, is the leadership in the department.
The leadership for the department, yes, all right, okay. And in what sense, in what area, in what aspects?
So it's leadership's responsibility to make sure that the job is getting done at every level. That's their job. Their job isn't to blame failure on frontline staff if they're not getting the leadership that they deserve. And there have been several incidents that have occurred at the department. Most recently, we had an escape from the jail. 3 violent felons escaped from our facility. And instead of taking responsibility for that, the leadership blamed the deputies for that. In fact, they promoted the managers who were in charge. They promoted them to a higher rank after the incident. And the fact of the matter is they were warned 6 months to a year prior to the escape that there was a problem, and they ignored it. Management ignored the problem, and then these inmates escaped. And they blamed it on the facility. They blamed it on the jail. And they cost the taxpayers. Because of that, they went to the Board of Supervisors, and they were given $11 million, taxpayer dollars, to fix the jail. But the grand jury looked into it, and the grand jury found that it was a failure of leadership. And they had to go back to the Board of Supervisors and admit that, in fact, it was a failure of leadership. They weren't making sure everybody was doing their job. So that's a failure, and that cost us money. That cost taxpayers money.
But the $11 million paid already?
It was over the course of several years, so some of it has been paid. But the fact that that was the result of that escape, and then you promoted people that shouldn't have been promoted. They probably shouldn't have been in the place. They shouldn't have been in that place to begin with.
Okay.
So you see that kind of thing happening. And then you look at the so-called jail snitch scandal. So the result of the jail snitch scandal has been several very high-profile cases not being handled properly.
All right.
And that has re-victimized victims and their families, and it has also cost the taxpayers millions of dollars. And at some point, we have to say that's enough. We're not going to keep going down this path. Leadership needs to take responsibility for what's going on in the department. It needs to start getting out of their office, start getting down into the department, and find out what's going on and fix these problems. You have to be proactive, Jack. You can't wait for things to happen. You have to get out there and you have to make things happen.
You can't wait for things to come to you. You have to go out to look for things.
And that's what's happened in the homeless thing that we talked about last week. The homeless problem is a result of not being proactive.
All right. Okay. Today with me is my good friend, Mr. David Harrington. He is the mayor so far of Aliso Viejo, a very beautiful city in Orange County, and he's now the candidate for Orange County Sheriff. Let's take a very short moment now. We seems to have really touched the problem where leadership really counts. Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome back to the East-West Show. Jack Chow is my name with G&E TV. Lots of folks know us. Lots of folks are being even fans about this show because we do care about them. We do bring information that we believe necessary for them to know. Orange County is where most of our audiences are. Most of our even better off friends are. Some of them, majority of them are homeowners. They're doing a nice job, and they want a peaceful environment. They want a trustworthy safety, community safety, which of course all call for county sheriff. It's the county sheriff's job to keep the community safe. I have Mr. David Harrington here with me, the current mayor of Aliso Viejo, and he is the candidate for Orange County Sheriff. I was asking him to give an overall picture to see how his satisfaction goes in which part, and he's proud of the man-woman uniform, eager to serve, willing to serve, and doing their job to the utmost. Yet, they need leadership. They need a right leadership. A leadership to the point that you're not sitting there in your office until troubles come to you. You are going out to look for troubles, something like that, right? So, from that point on, I want you to develop your philosophy of going out, the difference between waiting for trouble to come to you and going out to look for troubles, please.
So that's a really important point, because if you wait for a problem to become a problem, now you're reacting to a crisis. You're not being proactive, and that costs money. It costs time. It costs money, and then you have problems. So being proactive means getting out and inspecting your department. There's a saying that goes, "You get what you inspect, not what you expect." So you have to inspect what's going on. Yes, you have to get out and look at what the men and women are doing, so that you know that their job is being done. That it's important. Policies are being followed, right practices are being followed. That they're actually receiving the training that they deserve and the leadership that they deserve. And you can't do that from a chair. You have to get out and you have to get amongst them, the troops. The homeless issue is a great example. That's a great example of that.
Let's use that. Last time you mentioned if they tackled that 6 years ago,
correct,
things would not be a lot better.
It
wouldn't even be a problem.
It wouldn't be a problem on the riverbed.
Okay, anyway.
We're not going to solve.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we're not going to solve the homeless problem. We're not going to get 100%.
Okay.
We need to move it forward. We need to move the issue forward. We need to do what we can. But you can't ignore these problems. This problem was ignored for 6 years, and now we have a crisis.
6 years ago, at that time point, what would you say that if somebody tackles it in the right way, problem could be stopped right there?
So I worked on that river trail, like we discussed last time, and we developed a plan to clean up the problem when it was a very small problem. There were very few homeless people under every overpass along the riverbed. There wasn't what you see now. And we were denied that opportunity by the leadership at the time, who's the leadership now. So when you deny a solution, you better have another solution, or you better have another plan, or you're going to end up with the crisis that you have now. So that's what we did, and that's a great example of this problem. The jail escape is another really good example, though, Jack, because they were warned 6 months to a year before that there was a problem. They were told by the frontline staff, "Hey, there's a problem here," and the reply back to the frontline staff was, "This is the way we've always done it." That's what they told the frontline staff. So then you have this escape, but by the grace of God, nobody was killed in that escape. It could have been much worse than it was. Now it was still expensive, but it's still a problem. The jail snitch scandal is another issue that costs the taxpayers a lot of money. In a lot of lost trials and a lot of overturned convictions. There's at least 6 to 7 murder convictions that were overturned or lesser sentences were given to suspects because nobody was doing their job. Nobody was inspecting what was going on. Nobody was questioning what was going on. So we need to do a better job. We need to do a much better job of being proactive, not only within our own agency, but in every way. In every way in law enforcement, in public safety, you have to be much more proactive. In public safety policy, for example, with Proposition 47, Proposition 57, these type of things, once they're passed and being implemented, it's too late to fight them. You have to fight them before they pass.
All right, good.
And that's being proactive as well. It's a large, it's an all-encompassing kind of approach.
Exactly, I do agree with you. And I can agree with you more on those issues. Back to the homeless issue thing, once again, now according to news, the radio broadcast and TV news, even on Orange Register and even on LA Time, there are poops everywhere, right? And it smells like a pigsty. And people, what is the worst? The worst scenario, and then they call the hepatitis B.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, in San Diego.
That breaks out.
Yes, hepatitis A.
A or B?
I believe it was hepatitis A.
A, right?
We'll find. It was either one is not going to be good, but I think it was hepatitis A.
Of course not.
They've had people die from that,
and
actually.
You have more than 400 something affected, and out of the 400, 16 have already died.
Correct. Yeah, I saw that report.
So the problem is not only what you see, the problem is to spread it amongst the two innocent people. Already.
Correct. Because especially like on the riverbed, people still use it. There are still cyclists that go down that riverbed and they still ride their bikes down there, and we're putting them at risk. it's unhealthy, it's inhumane, and
Exactly.
it shouldn't happen. That outbreak was a result of ignoring the problem, and we can't ignore it anymore.
All right. So, of course, when we talk about the responsibilities, we believe that 6 years ago, somebody had to do something they didn't do, right? So what is the government thinking now?
So the government has done a really good job of expanding itself and becoming larger. And spending
I mean,
more
local
money.
government,
Local
or county
yes,
government, yes.
It has. They're trying to address the problem. So you got to give them credit for trying. They're trying to do something. So the approach is, I still think the approach should be with a firm hand. You still have to enforce the law. You can't remove law enforcement from the equation. You can't allow lawlessness because you end up with this kind of a problem. So they're trying to provide transitional services for people, offering shelter to those that want to take it, offering services for people who need them, and hopefully this will move the needle forward, and we'll start addressing the problem. But that's been the response thus far.
And have you thought about the extra added on to the problem, that is the consequences of, the increase of population, of the homeless population after after AB 109,
Absolutely.
after 47,
Yep.
Proposition 57, and stuff like that. For them, last time you mentioned that if you were in office, you will probably have these group of people taken from the rest of the other homeless.
Yeah,
Separate
the bad public safety policy, AB 109, was a prison realignment. And what that resulted in was in a lot of felons that belonged in state prison coming to county jail. But it was more nefarious than that because it also changed the supervision level of a lot of inmates. A lot of them weren't, they are being released unsupervised. So they get out, no support, no checking in, and so they add to the homeless problem.
They were let go the leash, yeah.
They let go. Then you have Proposition 47. So Proposition 47, I think they viewed the lack of a fight against AB 109 as a way to get Proposition 47 passed. So Proposition 47 passes. It decriminalized a lot of criminal activity, a lot of drug possession cases, and a lot of theft cases, a lot of these type of crimes that really affect quality of life in a community.
Okay.
So they're now not being arrested. So when you hear a stat like there's 50,000 fewer arrests, that doesn't mean there's less crime. That just means there's fewer arrests. That just means if you decriminalize criminal activity, well then I guess you could say there's less crime.
Yeah,
if we made murder legal, then we could say that we don't no longer have a murder
There's
problem.
No more problem.
Right.
Yes.
So that's what's happened. It's not that crime has gone down. The fact of the matter is crime is steadily rising. So it's probably being underreported.
Okay, very good. And here it seems that we hit a very good point. What point? The point being that now it is too late to overturn AB 109. And probably we can do later by signing, but whatever. So that takes time, takes forever. And it's no time to do 47, to do 57. However, in the department, if you have the right leadership, you can still do something. Is that what you're holding for, right?
Yes, and here's how you do it. So there are fixes that you can do to Proposition 47. There's still some fixes you can do. Proposition 57, there's an easy fix on Proposition 57, Jack. There's a whole list of violent felonies that are listed in the penal code as violent felonies. But then there's a whole host of violent felonies that we would consider a violent felony. Assault on a peace officer with injury is not listed in the penal code as a violent felony. Sexual assault of an unconscious person is not a violent felony in the penal code. So the simple fix is to take this list of crimes and put them and just move them within the penal code. It's a simple fix, and make them violent felonies under the penal code. Because if you don't do that, then when they apply for parole, they're saying that I'm not a violent felon because my crime isn't listed as such. So that's a simple fix. However, it takes more than just sponsoring a bill in Sacramento. You have to get out of your desk. You have to get out of the office, and you have to go to Sacramento, and you have to fight for these laws. You have to fight for what you believe in, because you're not going to convince anybody just by sticking your name on a piece of paper. You have to go there, introduce yourself to all these committee members, and then fight for it.
Very good. Today, I'm honored to have the pleasure of of being visited by Mayor of Aliso Viejo. Also, he is a candidate for Orange County Sheriff, Mr. David Harrington. We are talking about how we can, while we can't, there are things we cannot do, there are still jobs that need to be done. Right? Talking about Orange County to dissect, see how the problem shall be taken care of by simply having the right leadership. Stay with us, please. Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome back to the East-West discussion. Today, I'm visited by Mr. David Harrington, and he is the current mayor for Aliso Viejo. He is also the candidate, most importantly, candidate for Orange County Sheriff. Right? Speaking of Orange County, it's such a lovely county. We really hate anything bad to happen to it.
Me too.
And that county is so important, where you see Disneyland, where you see stadiums, all beautiful stuff there that glorifies California. Right now, one thing my audience might not know is that Orange County is no longer the way it used to be. It is getting worse. Why? Because we have, quote unquote, a situation or a sheriff department that seems to be not doing their job correctly. Once again, the ladies, the men, and the women in uniform, they are good ones. They are doing their job, but there is a big lack of right leadership. So, with my good friend, the candidate for county sheriff of Orange County, I believe things will change. Let's see how we can change it, right? Okay. You mentioned a very important point. The point being that when laws are assigned, bad laws are assigned, we'd better do something before it is becoming into law. Now that it is into law already, too late to do anything of that nature, still there are jobs that can do. Am I right? You're talking about to criminalize those activities which are not categorized in 47 and 57. Am I right? So going back to that point, right. I'll let you continue, please.
So what you have to do is you have to engage with the politicians who are passing these laws and putting these laws on the ballot, and then they mistitle them so that people don't understand what they really mean. So you have to go there to make these fixes. In Proposition 47, just as an example, fentanyl, which is one of the most dangerous opiates on the market today, extraordinarily dangerous, and more dangerous than heroin. It's a misdemeanor. So there have been efforts to move that back to a felony. So you have to go to these committee hearings when they're talking about this, and you have to fight for that. It's not enough to just support a bill. You have to go there and support the person who's trying to pass the bill, and that's what you have to do. When you go there as the sheriff, you represent 3 million people. That's a big voice.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a big voice. So all these things go online. But there's an important thing I want to talk about, Jack, too, is we can't keep reacting. We keep reacting. We need to be proactive. And one of the ways you can be proactive in this way is through public engagement. And by constantly engaging the public in what we do, what we stand for, how we interact with the public is so important. So that when these bad policies come up, when these bad bills come up, we can mobilize the public because we have been engaging with them, telling them what we do, how we do things, so that they trust us. Trust is very important for the community and law enforcement. We have to have this mutual trust. Sure. So that's the proactive way of doing it. You have to constantly be out there. You can never stop. It's a 24/7, 365 proposition. Every day, 24 hours a day. You have to be engaged in the public. You have to let them know that we are part of the community. Law enforcement is part of the community. Because if you don't do that, then you can't go to them and you can't go to them at the last minute and say, don't vote for these bad bills, because they don't know you. They don't know you or trust you well enough. So you have to break those barriers down. So that's really important to
And
do.
exactly, such as the moment now, right? You don't want to pick up a wrong guy in the first place, and later you regret. Oh, man, I shouldn't have done that, right? Better to be proactive now. See, well, probably David is the one, something like that. Let him do the job. That's what we call campaign, right? So now, when you thinking about doing things in your territory, now, my question is that when California has the AB 109 laws and 47 as proposition and Proposition 57, so on and so forth, within the territory of a county or a county sheriff, you can still criminalize those actions. Am I right?
There's still actions you can take, and it's important that when you look at these laws, to come up with innovations on how to deal with them. Now, I don't have an answer for every single thing.
Okay.
It's important to surround yourself with really smart people, and there are smart people everywhere, not only in the department but in the private sector. And you need to engage those people and get their ideas, and find innovative ways to deal with these issues, while at the same time always remembering who you are. We are law enforcement. We enforce the law. I find it reprehensible that there would be so many fewer arrests, because even a citation is an arrest. We can't stop doing our job, and that's a leadership issue. Leadership has to step in and make sure that everybody's aware, educated, trained, and equipped to do their job every day, and that they have that backing from leadership, so that we don't have these issues. So yes, there's innovations. No matter what they do, there's innovations where you can deal with these things. There are ways to deal with them, but you can never remember what your core principle is and what your core responsibility is. That's to make people safe.
All right. Okay.
That's our job.
One simple question. Last time you mentioned at the local jails, such as Orange County jails, there are still rooms.
I don't think they're overflowing yet.
All right. So in that case, can we incarcerate the extra who are out on the street? So bring them back to jail so that the pressure of the trail, of the river trail, is being reduced.
Yeah, a lot of you can do it a lot with the parolees and whatnot. Proposition 47 made it really difficult to do that, because of the decriminalizing of a lot of the activity, and making it really difficult to arrest a lot of these people that we used to be able to arrest all the time, and take to jail. So it doesn't mean you can't enforce the law. You can still enforce the law. But that's one of the problems with these policies that get passed, and when you allow it to happen by not stepping up and fighting for what's right, and engaging the public, when you end up with that, then you have to deal with the aftermath. So we have to find innovative ways to do that.
You simply let small problems grow bigger.
Yes.
So bigger beyond your capability of handling, and then you have a big problem. You cry over the problem. You better regret, say, hey, I should have done it before, right?
Yeah, you never want to look back and say, shoulda, coulda, woulda. You want to be out in front of these things, and attack them when they're small
problems. What you can do it now, right?
It's difficult now. But you have to find ways. You can't, like you said, like what you said, you can't cry over it.
No.
You have to move forward. It passed. It's the law. Let's see what we can do. That doesn't change our core mission.
Yeah, like I said, now that the jails are not crowded in Orange County local jails, why don't you bring some back, at least to reduce the pressure, to mitigate the pressure?
Yeah, and that's going to take a fix from Sacramento, because the prisons with AB 109, they actually solved their overcrowding problem. So in Sacramento, in the prisons, the statewide system, they've got room again. So we need to find fixes for this problem. I'm not talking about arresting people just for the sake of arresting them, but when they break the law, we have to have a way to protect the society.
Of course.
And that's by arresting people.
Okay, all right. So, in other words, the issue is there, and we know it's late, but the late doesn't mean we couldn't do it. We still want to do something, and there's still room of work.
There's room. There's plenty of time. There's plenty of money if we spend it right and we get a little bit more efficient. The Sheriff's Department budget in Orange County is $700 million. There's plenty of efficiencies that can be found within the department where we can help the the county government out so that they can, provide the necessary services and things without busting the budget. So there's ways to do that, but you have to be an innovator. You have to be proactive. You can't wait for a crisis. You can't wait for it to be a problem. Then it's too late.
You're right.
Then it's too late.
All right. So, my dear audience, today with my friend David Harrington. He is the mayor of Safer Viejo, a very beautiful city of Orange County. He is also the candidate for Orange County Sheriff. And I believe that he has a bucket of resolutions to the problem of Orange County. Let's take a very short moment now. When we come back, we'll ask him to show what he will do once he takes office on day 1, day 2, whatever, to the problems, to make sure the Orange County goes back to the old days it was through the efforts of a county sheriff. So stay with us, please. Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audience. Welcome back to the discussion talking about Orange County. Orange County is a beautiful land. Lots of people, even my folks in China knows Orange County. They want to buy property over there. They want to buy houses over there. They want to do some projects over there. And the other day, they are asking me, between Orange County and West Covina, where do you recommend? I said probably West Covina because I'm close to West Covina. But to the benefit of Orange County, though, to the size of their project, they did go to Orange County. So anyway, today with me is my good friend David Harrington. He is the current mayor for Aliso Viejo, beautiful city, and he is also the candidate for Orange County Sheriff. Right now. Talking about the problem, we laid all the problem down there. Mostly, the Orange County is being bothered to a lot of extent by the homeless outbreak. I'll call it an outbreak, almost devastating to the extent of homeless. And not only homeless people, but along the river trail, there are tents after tents after tents there. There are poops everywhere. The whole thing smells like a pigsty. And there is hepatitis A breakout. And that is a disaster. And there are over 430 something, if not precise, 436 or 35 affected. Among them, 16 died already. Now, the problem has gone to the extent either you do it or you die together. It's devastating. So now, I'm asking you, please, that it looks that we do have a huge lack of leadership. I mean, right leadership, right? So once you're in office, what would you do? I'm simply asking your bucket of resolutions, please.
Thank you, Jack. So yeah, the hepatitis A outbreak in San Diego and LA, it makes me fear for what's going to happen on that river trail because it's a very similar type of environment. So it makes me worried because it's going to affect the first responders, the deputies who are walking down there, the officers from other agencies who are walking down there. So that's dangerous. So what am I going to do? Day one, I think it's really important. The first thing I have to do, Jack, is I have to surround myself with doers, people that want to do the job, people who share the vision,
doers,
and people who want to work. I have to surround myself with those people first. People smarter than me. I'm not afraid of smart people. Right. I like smart people.
Good, very good.
They're helpful.
Smart people like smart people.
Smart people are good to have around you.
Okay, sure.
To keep you out of trouble.
All right, good.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to reform the department. We're going to do a top-down, bottom-up review. This is a $700 million budget. There's plenty of waste in this department. As any government agency this large is going to have inefficiencies, and we're gonna find those inefficiencies and get rid of them. We're gonna make it a little bit leaner. We're not gonna have such a large management level, there's some room there to save money. There are some, they're not divisions, but there are units within the department. There's a field training bureau that needs to be eliminated. It costs a lot of money, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do what it was supposed to do. That can be immediate savings. There's some other efficiencies that we need to find. And we'll find those efficiencies, and we're going to save a lot of money. And the next step, so that's first step. Next step is refocus the department. We need to focus. We're going to refocus the department back on its primary mission. The primary mission of any law enforcement agency is to enforce the law.
All right.
That's our job.
Okay, very good.
That's our core of our job, is to enforce the law and keep people safe. Everything has to be centered around, is what I'm doing making us safer or less safe? If the answer is it's making me safer, that's what we're going to do. If the answer is it makes us less safe, then we're not going to do it. So we're going to refocus the department, get everybody back on the same page, get everybody focused on what their job is. You know, jails are just mini cities with nothing but criminals inside of them for the most part. Some convicted, some not, but it's still, that's the kind of environment that you're in. So you still have to know the law if you're a deputy. So we're going to refocus them by training, by making everybody, start holding people accountable to do their job, so that we don't have any of these controversies, any more of these scandals. And then finally, Jack, what we're going to do is we're going to lead. We're going to lead by getting out in front of these issues, these bad public safety policies. You know, SB 54, the sanctuary state law, makes us less safe. It doesn't make us safer. But it's too late. The time to fight that was back when,
you're right.
The time to fight it was back when AB 109
passed.
It's
accumulated something
it's
there.
an accumulation. It's AB 109, Prop 47,
yes,
Prop 57, Prop 50.
It's a combination
SB 54 now.
of everything.
That's correct.
Yeah,
So you have to fight these things before they get passed. So the lead part is through public engagement, going to Sacramento and being involved actively. Not from my office in Santa Ana, but getting on an airplane, going there and fighting these issues in person. That's what gets the job done.
And also there's other categories. You last time mentioned about to mobilize the whole society to join the party. The party being that the law enforcement department does its own job by enforcing the laws, right? And then there are folks there, I mean the whole homeless folks, who needs a transit house, something.
Transition.
And how do you connect those efforts? Make it kind of like a coalition piece.
Yes. That's exactly right. You have to engage, public-private partnerships have to be engaged. Law enforcement can't do it all. What has happened is the law enforcement has been basically saddled with a lot of responsibilities that aren't its primary core job. So therefore we're not effective. We need to get back to what we do, and then help these other agencies. We can help these other agencies. They need protection too. When the social service worker goes down into the riverbed to provide just transitional type services, they need protection too, and that's fine. That's part of my job.
Of course,
Making people safe is my job.
And then, of course, now with the pandemic situation, they really have to worry about themselves.
Yes, so that's part of my job. Making people safe is my job.
Yes.
But being a social worker,
you know what? I'm proud of you. You keep saying that you take responsibilities, and this is what we are lacking.
I think so too, and I think that's a lot.
We do need people say, "Hey, it's my responsibility."
Correct.
It's my responsibility. Not we see a lot of finger pointing, right? That's his problem, nor his problem, or he's not doing his job. And seldom you see, okay, I'm sorry, it's my problem, or I will be the one. You go ahead, hold me accountable for this, something like that.
Sure, absolutely, and I think that's sorely lacking, certainly in the leadership in this department right now. Is nobody expects perfection. We should demand excellence. But I don't think anybody expects perfection. And when a mistake is made, I don't understand politicians who are afraid to stand up and say, I made a mistake. I didn't do what I should have done. And when you're willing to stand up and say, I made a mistake. I didn't do my job as well as I should have. People understand that. People understand contriteness. What they don't like is the arrogance and the hubris.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah,
the hubris that comes out of leadership when they blame everything on somebody else.
Yeah.
It's not always everybody else's fault. Sometimes you're to blame, and you have to be able to take responsibility.
And also down to the very bottom, at the local politics, you are not talking about partisanship. There is no partisanship there.
Public safety,
right?
Jack.
Yeah.
Public safety is not a left issue. It's not a right issue.
Not a
It's
right
all of our
issue.
issue.
Good, very good.
I don't pull people over and ask them, "Are you a Democrat or Republican?" You know what I mean?
All right.
It's not what we do. It is everybody's issue. So how we address that? That's how we. That's that openness. That's that engagement. We get together with the public and we figure out ways to do things better. There are people smarter than both of us. Not you, because you're a smart cat.
Well, we're average.
Right.
We're all
absolutely.
average.
But so there's ideas out there. So you want to be able to engage people, and you want to be able to knock down those barriers of you won't listen to me because I don't believe what you believe. No, that's not how it works. We have to work together, especially when it comes to public safety. It's everybody's responsibility, and it's everybody's issue. So that's why I'm running.
All right. I'm so glad that you decide to run, and I'm so glad that you can exactly tell my audiences why you're running. And my audiences, after hearing your statement, start to see the necessity of having a good leadership. And that good leadership will work, will function. Later, instead of waiting for problem to come to them, they will start looking for problem to resolve before, they get big. And it'll get problem resolved at a stage when they are still embryonic. Not when they are so humongous, they are overriding you and you are suppressed, right, like that. Take the Santa Ana River Trail homeless issue. It is not only a homeless issue, it's a pandemic situation already. All right. And since San Diego is so bad, and then it goes up north, and then, so let's do something. Let's get some leaders right there. And I like this statement much better. He says, public safety is not a partisan issue, right? I want you to emphasize on that again, please. Lots of people are confused or are worried about, is this guy Democratic or is he a Republican? Tell them where you are and tell them it is nothing to do with politics, with whatever.
So what I like to say is I was actually at an event and someone tried to blame Democrats for all the problems. I said, listen, I'm not red, I'm not blue, I'm orange, because I'm Orange County. This is not, like it's not a partisan issue. A criminal doesn't walk up to you and say, are you a Democrat or a Republican? They just say, give me your money.
Yeah, they just say that.
It's everybody's issue, and I approach it that way. This is a public safety issue. Public meaning everybody. It's all of our issue, and it's important. It's all of our money. When you mention nipping problems when they're small, that's really important, because when you wait for them to get so big, now you're going to have to spend big money to solve them.
Yeah, and you're underneath already.
There's not an endless well of money in government, and so we have to be careful. That is not an efficient way to run and spend other people's money. So it's important.
And one last thing, I'm checking with you. How's the campaign situation? How's the fundraising or stuff like that?
It's going really well, Jack. We've got a lot of momentum going. I had an event last night. It was my birthday yesterday.
Okay.
So we had an event last night. It was very successful. We had a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun with it.
I see.
It's ongoing.
Is there a website that my audience can visit?
There is a website.
Or is there a website address or whatever if they want to decide to donate?
Yes.
They like new leaders.
Okay.
They like new leadership. Yeah. What is the website?
I would appreciate anything. I love that. My website is www.harrington4sheriff.com.
www.harrington4sheriff.com.
Just sheriff.com.
All right. And we will put the website address on the screen. You will see, probably sometime while talking, you will see there already. And there's
a donate button.
That's not a problem. And I really wish him good luck. My dear friend David Harrington, one our candidate, I would say the most hopeful candidate for Orange County Sheriff. So good luck to you.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you.